Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Let's talk some LSU football, specifically in recruiting. And the biggest name of the last 2 weeks has been DJ Pickett, and LSU was able to secure his commitment. Of course, did not get the commitment of Jabari Antoine, who decides he's going to head down to South Beach for the time being and play at Miami. And kind of the next big name that folks are looking at is Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams, I think most of you are very familiar with. He's a safety out of Galveston. He's a 5-star by 24/7. He's a 5-star by Rivals. He's a 5-star by ESPN. He is a 4-star by On3, but all of them has him ranked as the number 1 safety in the nation. And LSU is very much in the mix for Jonah Williams. This is the type of prospect that I expect LSU to be in on very, very frequently with Cory Raymond here. We've discussed this a lot over the last 3 weeks, most of it framed around Pickett and Antoine, but Williams matches this profile as well. As long as Cory Raymond is the head defensive backs coach at LSU, I expect that the biggest names in the country will be on LSU's board and will be interested. This is one of those deals where a lot of times things that kids do on social media don't mean anything, and you try to read something into that, but it's really just the lyrics of a song, and you try to see something in this and sometimes you can get caught up in the lives of 17-year-olds and not really understand exactly what you're looking at, and there's really no reason to be there. But when you talk about DBU and the power that brand has, and you talk about folks believing in that in social media and the reputation that LSU has in that world, it's real. And when Cory Raymond was here in his first stint, the number 1 corner in the country was almost always at least considering LSU very strongly. Now, sometimes Savion Smith doesn't come here, and sometimes Patrick Surtain doesn't come here, but sometimes Kevin Tolliver does come here. Sometimes you look up and Derek Stingley's in your backyard and he does come here. Tre'Davious White does come here. Jamal Adams does come here. Grant Delpit does come here. Eli Ricks does come here. But you were always in the mix for those guys. And those guys that I just rattled off, some had brilliant college careers, some had middling college careers. But they were thought of at the time as good as you were going to get in that class in the defensive backfield. And Cory Raymond pursues those guys, and I'm for that. You're not going to bat 1,000 if you're going after the number 1 guy in the country every single year. But if you bat 650, like, you're getting some really, really talented dudes in. And you supplement that with, generally speaking, there's a couple 4-star corners in the state of Louisiana in most high school classes. And you go get that big-name fish from outside the area and then bring in the couple from inside the area and then grab that 3-star that plays really hard from New Orleans or down the bayou, and all of a sudden that guy becomes a really solid player for you. And that's basically how LSU's secondaries were born. You end up with Patrick Peterson and Morris Claiborne and Tyrann Mathieu and Brandon Taylor and Eric Reed and Craig Lawston, and the list goes on, and Jalen Mills and Tre'Davious White, and then you got Jamal Adams and Grant Delpit and Christian Fulton and Derek Stingley. Like, you know the list. You understand how this process went the first time around. And I expect it to go similarly this time around. And Jonah Williams is of this ilk. He's 6'3.5". He's 205 pounds, 210 pounds, depending on where you look. And he's an incredible athlete. And LSU's in the mix, and A&M's in the mix, and Texas is now in the mix, and Oklahoma's in the mix, and Oregon is very much in the mix. And there's been a lot of smoke about Oregon, and we understand why. They've got a powerful brand. They've got a really good coach. They play really good defense, and they got a lot of NIL money. It's an attractive place to go. It's also not all that close to Galveston, Texas. You know what kind of is? Baton Rouge. You know who is DBU? LSU. You know where Cory Raymond coaches? LSU. And you know who plays some pretty good baseball? LSU. Jonah Williams is thought of as a 2-sport athlete. And so I checked with my sources on the baseball side of things and said, look, if this guy had never picked up a football or laced up some cleats and snapped on a helmet, would LSU be interested in Jonah Williams, the baseball player? I was told by a source in the LSU baseball program, absolutely. He's a massively athletic talent and certainly a guy that LSU would be recruiting if football was not even in the equation. And I think that's been a question that I've been asked a good bit, and that's probably a question that a lot of people have considered. Like, yeah, that's cool to sound like you can play two sports, but like, this is a pretty high level to do that. Is it just kind of a cool niche thing, or are you really pursuing that? And I think that there is a significant pitch on the baseball side of things. And to me, that does matter. We'll see how much it matters. I don't know. I've never met Jonah Williams. I can't tell you what Jonah Williams thinks about baseball, what he thinks about LSU's baseball program, what he thinks about the fact that Oregon's going to the Big Ten and how that impacts baseball. Like, I don't know. But it feels like if you're just going to read the situation and try to understand all the factors that are available to us to understand, LSU's got a ton to sell on the football side and a ton to sell on the baseball side. Right now, Oregon does not have much to sell on the baseball side, and LSU geographically is in a better spot. You listen to the experts, those who follow recruiting, those who do this for a living, Shea Dixon, Billy Embody, Sam Spiegelman, guys that we have on the show, and most think that, yeah, this is still a hotly contested race, and the recruiting prediction machine and the crystal ball favors Oregon to an extent, but I think LSU's in the mix here. And we'll see if they can get it to the finish line. He's expected to be on campus this weekend. Does that change the way that we think about this? I'll tell you this much. We've watched the complete overhaul of the offensive line under Brad Davis. We're watching the complete overhaul of the defensive line by Bo Davis. And I believe you're going to see the overhaul of this defensive backfield by Cory Raymond. It starts with DJ Pickett there. Maybe PJ Woodland is a guy that's going to be a cornerstone for you. And then you start bringing in guys like this, like Jonah Williams. All of a sudden, you've got your talent level back to where you're used to it. I can tell you this. Like, when I started covering LSU day-to-day and we were going to practice a lot, it was in 2010, 2011, 2012, and it was impossible going out to practice not to gravitate toward the defensive backs because they were so talented. They had such big names. They had so much fun while we were out there at practice, and the energy was just off the charts. And that was gone the last couple of years from LSU's defense because you're looking at a group that could not be cocky and confident and play with swagger as they were continuing to give up touchdown after touchdown after first down after chunk play after chunk play after touchdown. You've got to stop that. And I think that LSU's well on its way to doing that. But you've got to bring in guys like this. I think it's important to realize LSU's got a geographic advantage here over Oregon, and I think there's a baseball aspect to this that may matter. I would highly recommend you check out Shea Dixon and Billy Embody's thoughts on it a little more than mine, but I'm giving you my 2 cents here, and I think LSU's got a chance. We'll see how things progress over the weekend with Jonah Williams, the 5-star safety out of Galveston, Texas. Thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.